So you've been working for some 30 odd years, the gray hairs are starting to come in, and you're thinking about retirement, but unsure of whether you should do it in the US or do it in another foreign country. If you haven't thought of Thailand, maybe you should. Particularly the city of Chiang Mai. I spent a few weeks over there, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why this is a place that you should consider if you're thinking about retiring, whether it's early retirement or retiring permanently. So let's get into it. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Wayne, and if you've been following my videos, you've heard that I've decided to leave the US in search of some place to live in my retirement. So after some 25 odd years of working for one company and another 10 in the government, I figured it was time for me to head on out to greener pastures. I decided to check out Southeast Asia as I've been traveling there for the past few years, and there are a lot of places that I liked. However, when you visit on a short vacation, it's very different than trying to live in some place. I came across some information on someone's channel where they say you should do a slow travel. What is slow travel? Well, that means spending like about a month to 2 months in one country to get a feel of the day-to-day life to decide if that's the place you really want to go. When you visit some place on a short vacation, everything seems wonderful and amazing, but it's very different from when you live there. So let's talk about one of my new spots to visit, and it's really my number one spot that I had on my list to visit. Chiang Mai is further up in the mountains, so it tends to be a little bit cooler. Now, saying it's a little bit cooler, we're here in the middle of June, and of course, things are hot here. But what I did realize is that the heat is not as bad as it was in Bangkok. In the morning, it's actually quite cool, and it's better than I expected it to be. Even my wife was saying, oh wow, this is kind of great. Now during the daytime, when it gets into the 80s and 90s, again, still not bad. Now granted, I haven't been here for that long, but I'm going to talk about the things that I noticed and let you see if this is some place that you should consider to add to your list of places to move to. Here are 5 reasons I think that you would like to live here. Reason number 1 is the slower pace of life. Now, we all know that when you're younger, you like to run around, hang out in bars, and just do that full tilt living. But as you get older, you want something a little less hectic. First and foremost, the city isn't that big, and yes, it could be a lot of walking if you don't want to, go in the outer section. But if you look at the map, there's like a big square area in the middle, and that's where the old, let's call it a fort, it used to be. A lot of portions of the walls have been knocked down since then, but you can still walk around inside the square and outside the square and see a lot of things in between. One of the cool things that I like when I visit the square is that there are a lot of coffee shops and a lot of places to relax if you just want to take things pretty much at a slower pace. Now that being said, there are a lot of local things there as well. The typical weekend markets are here, night markets and so on, so you won't be missing any of that. Now the traffic is not as bad as what you would expect in Bangkok. And of course, being a smaller city, there's going to be less vehicles around. And yes, that makes actually for a positive. With less vehicles, you have less pollution, so that makes for a much more comfortable place to live. And also, less noise. My number 2 thing on the list is the weather. Now, I do like it a little bit on the warmer side. Granted, I did come from Arizona, and originally I am from Jamaica, so the hot weather and me, we go together. But being in Bangkok, it do get a bit hot and you have to run into buildings for AC. Up here in Chiang Mai, in the middle of June, I can say that the maximum has probably been in the 90s. I don't recall a day when it's been over 100 degrees. Also, in the mornings, it tends to be a bit cooler. So you can go for a run, go for a walk, whatever you want to do first thing in the morning, and that makes life a whole lot more comfortable than being in Bangkok or any big city for that matter. One of the great things is that if you decide to move further out in the countryside, which takes you a little bit further up in the mountains, it will really be a lot cooler. But again, It all depends on where you want to be. Chiang Mai, the city itself is big, but then the whole province, you have a lot more places that you can actually go out to. But you will need a car, so that's something to consider as well. Number 3 on my list is the lower cost of living. And for some people, that probably should be number 1. I would agree to that, but I put it as number 3 on my list. But what I like here is that you can find places to rent that are older properties, but have actually larger space. So if you're someone that's looking for more than just 1 bedroom, you could find something 2-3 bedroom, or even a house. If you want the modern flavor, you can rent condos, and that'll probably go up a little bit more. So just like Bangkok and any place else, you have multiple choices of budgets that can be accommodated right here in Chiang Mai. One of the things that I did learn when I came here was that you have areas where a lot of expats live, and I guess those are the people probably who have like the elite visa or the retirement visa, and that's going to be on the southwest side of town. When we were landing, I did notice that some of these houses seemed more like your typical Western houses than they did normal Thai houses. So if your choice is to have a single family home, that's available for you. If you want to have condos, I did find some on the northeast side of town. So yeah, all depends on where you want to go. If you want to be in the city and experience the local life, you can find some apartments as well. That's just walking distance from everything that you need to get to. So number 4 on my list is going to be food. While the hotel we're staying at was a bit outside of town, with a little bit of walking around, we found a local market very close by that you can get all the local Thai food you want, and it was great. I'll say this, I've loved Thai food before I've ever set foot in Thailand, and being here and seeing how everything is prepared fresh, I love it even more. Now that being said, at the market, you have tons of choices. Just like any street food market in any other part of Thailand you go to, you can find similar things here. And there are quite a few of them around, so that way you can pick up on the local street food. And the one thing I did learn is that a lot of people just go to the market for food. They don't really cook a lot at home. They'll have refrigerators and so on, but they probably don't utilize the whole lot because it costs so much cheaper to just pick up something from a local market, pick it up on your way to work, or pick it up on your way back home. Yeah, it makes for much easier access to food. Now, of course, there are restaurants around if you want something that is going to be from your home country, and I say home country, maybe like more like Western fare. There's some places around that you can do that. And also, I did think I mentioned coffee shops, tons of coffee shops here. I was surprised at how many coffee shops are here. Now, I tend to favor the local stuff. So rather than go to the fancy places, Starbucks and so on, I'll try out the local things, and typically the coffee is really good. Now, I'll say I had some great coffee in Singapore, and some of the things here are also good. On one of my trips up in the mountains, we did visit an area where they did produce coffee, so yeah, you can have access to local coffee as well too if you're a coffee connoisseur. Oh, before I forget, I did notice there were a lot of mango farms along the way when I was going on one of my trips up to the mountains. So yes, you can have access to fresh fruits and vegetables right up here in Chiang Mai. I will say, I love coconuts, and I think it quenches my thirst and does a much better job than water. So I tend to have a lot of that when I was here. Of course, I drank water as well too, but yeah, having coconut on tap whenever I wanted to was just a fantastic thing. So number 5 on the list has to be the people. Now, Thais in general are kind people, and seeing how they attend to the elderly left me with a very good impression of, yes, this would be someplace I would want to stay as you get older. You have folks that are actually looking out for your well-being. I found out that there were some people that were renting rooms or actually apartments long-term. While the room we stayed at was 1 bedroom, we found out that there were actually 2-bedroom suites on offer. Now, yes, our place also had a refrigerator, microwave, sink, and so on, but we lacked a stove. Some of the other places in the building actually had a stove, so if you want to do some cooking on the inside, it is there. Learning about this, I realized that there were a lot of retirees that actually stayed in this building. and the people here were doing a great job of attending to their needs. And knowing that we all going to get older, it's actually a good thing to know that the people here are actually going to do their best to assist you should the need arise. With that said, I think so far Chiang Mai is one of my top places for some place to retire. I've heard about it, I wanted to visit it, and now that I've actually spent some time here, it's actually gone to my #1 spot for some place to live. It has all the things that I've been looking for, and I think a lot of people as they get older, you want in life. If you're from the States and if you're from someplace where you have a lot of snow, winter, bad weather, you sometimes want something that's a little bit more temperate, that you don't have to deal with the cold weather all the time. And yes, Chiang Mai has that, but if you want some cooler weathers, in the wintertime it actually is going to get more on the cooler side, so you'll probably need a sweater, maybe a light jacket to carry around, but that's about it. It is up in the mountain areas, and if you go further up in the mountains, yeah, it's going to be even colder. We did visit one of the temples on the top of the mountain, and I believe it got down to about 30 something degrees up there. Maybe it was 40 something. I mean, I was wearing, long pants and short sleeve shirt. We were up in the clouds. It did feel chilling. My wife put on her jacket, but coming from where it was 90 plus degrees, to me, this was a nice cool down. We didn't spend that much time up there, so it was worth it. So let me know how you feel about this place. I've given you some reasons why I think it should be a top place to check out and to visit, and probably to retire to. Let me know if you're thinking about retirement and what are the places you've wanted to visit or actually have visited and think is a good place that I should check out. I'll be going over to Mongolia and later on to Bali, because Bali was my #1 spot, and I want to see what it's going to be like living there for a couple of months as well. But for right now, Chiang Mai is on my list. Put in the comments if you have any other places you want me to check out, and I'll see what I can add to my list, and I'll do some videos and share back with you. Thanks for watching, and I hope you subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you in the next one.